All right, it's Wednesday evening. I don't know about you guys, but I can't remember the last time we did one of these shows.
Yep.
It's been
I
a
heard it was
while.
June 1st.
Yeah, Johnny just laid that update on us, right? It's been a while. It's been a while, but it's been a wild month. It's been a great month. June
Yes.
has been a fabulous month. Today is I don't want to jump in like too quick, but today's been a pretty exciting day. Um, Originally, when I wrote my post this morning, I wanted to talk about um, like what we thought were the chances of our next parade down Broad Street and who that team might be, right? But on my way in, I find out that Jason Kelsey's having his Eagles autism event down in Sea Isle as we speak. He's been there all day, but the official party, I believe, went from 4 to 8. Um, and his brother is there, Travis, and Jason. What's Malata? Jordan Malata's there with him as well. I don't know if there's any other teammates there, but I know he raised a lot of money last year, and
Yeah.
kudos to him for Eagles Autism Foundation, and that's a well run, well oiled machine there, and he's always giving back. Um, so that was product number one for the morning, and then not too far after that, we get word that our guy,
Yeah.
we're all familiar with this guy, Derek Hall, from his minor league days. Um, through the Phillies organization, most frequent to Reading and Lehigh Valley, has been promoted. So threw him right into the fire. Wear number 25. And does anybody remember who last wore number 25 for the Phillies?
Jim told me.
There you go. Big shoes, right?
Big shoes, another big lefty.
Big shoes. Big shoes and another first base sequence, right?
Yep.
But he's going to DH and bat number 4 tonight. So we wish him all the luck in the world.
Oh yeah.
Just a super individual, a great kid. He was married. He married his best friend over the off season, and he's quite the fisherman. We've had him on a couple of times on the show. We've had him at the store for an autograph. So I'm wearing one of his Reading. Where are we at here? What side? What side do I get? That one.
There you go.
Reading Gamer. I got a couple of them, so I'm pretty excited. Brian Brown quickly asks, "What's up with Castellanos?" I don't think there's anything up with Castellanos. I think squeezing the bat a little too much, trying
Yep.
to trying to do a little too much. Schwarber had the first month of the season was rough for him as well. And as soon as they relax it, and he'll be all right. He'll
Oh
be all
yeah.
right. Maybe maybe this change with taking Harper out of the lineup will he'll realize that he's needed more now than ever.
Yeah.
So
He even said that. He said I got to step up. So
yep.
he
Yep.
knows there's a better player inside of him, and he just needs to
Yeah,
step.
for sure, for sure. I don't think there's anything wrong, other than he bought Ben Simmons' house over in Jersey, and there's probably a lot of bad juju, floating around that house.
Yep. That's
So,
probably the biggest thing of it.
so no, I don't think there's anything wrong with Nick. He just needs to relax and do what he does best.
Yep.
And I think the hits will come. But like I said at the top of the show, I was curious to get everyone's opinion. Because the Phillies, Flyers, Sixers, Eagles, all the sports teams have kind of gone through you know new coaches, new managers, new players. It just seems like they have a lot in common nowadays.
Oh
What
yeah.
do you guys? What do you guys? Am I drifting a little too far, or what are you guys thinking?
Not at all. Not at all. Like we said, for years now, that all the teams here in Philadelphia have the same problems. Not drafting well, not developing well. And it comes back and hurts you. And you have to keep buying everybody to make your teams winners. And that's not really the best way to do it. Um, you got to be able to draft and develop your players so that you can go out and buy that piece or two to finish the team off to make them a championship team instead of buying them and then having some holes.
Well, I look at the Yankees. I don't have to, I don't have to go too far. They've won quite a bit over the years, and they, they seem like they're buyers all the time. They're
Well,
buyers and sellers.
well, they are, but they have the farm system to go out and get the players, just like the Dodgers did. They don't miss a beat. They traded three or four pieces to Washington to get Scherzer and Trey Turner, and then let Scherzer walk after the season, and gave up some decent prospects, but it's definitely a different situation here in Philadelphia. We don't have those pieces to go out and buy them, and it's
Well, we haven't had the luxury the last few years. We go back to, I guess, 2008 when we last won the World Series, and Ruben made a few moves with a couple of young players that we thought we were giving away the world,
right.
and that never came back to haunt us too much.
No,
I think we talked about it a little bit. I guess the only guy that might still be in baseball is Carlos
Carrasco.
Carrasco, right?
Yep.
Um, but it just the teams just we're going through it again with the Sixers. I don't know if any, and I don't want to jump all over the page, but it might be a good night to do that, because word just dropped that Harden has not signed his deal, and it's going to allow the Sixers to benefit from it by giving them more flexibility and more money to go out and sign some other players.
Right.
Um,
Plus that I think I heard also when we were coming before we got on here that the cap went up $11 million too. So they got a
well,
little bit.
is that what it? I knew it was going up, but I
Yeah,
didn't
I think it
know.
was 11 million. So
You
they
know,
also opened that up as well.
our good friend Shawnee sent me a picture the other day of all the number one pick failures that the Sixers, have had. Um, and it's remarkable, because like we've been discussing for the beginning of the show, how you try to build off of the draft picks, the farm system,
Mm-hmm.
um, and they all seem to, with basketball it's different, football it's different, because these players, they're thrown right into the fire.
Right.
There's no development there other than game day. Um, but get back to the Phillies a little bit, because they're in a little bit of a spot right now, because the injury bug has really came to smack them in the face. They lost Segura. Now you lose Harper. Now you lose Zach
Eflin.
Eflin, one of your starters. Just when you think the bullpen might have it figured out, they unfigure it out.
Yeah.
And, you know, um, but I mean, where do you see? you bring up a piece, today in Derek Hall, who was what 20 home runs, 65 RBIs in AAA. I know it's not Major League Baseball, but a lot of former Major League players are at the AAA level nowadays.
Right.
Um, so I mean, a 95 mile an hour fastball is still a 95 mile an hour fastball, right?
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
you know, where do you think by bringing him up and throwing him in, right into the fire in the four spot, what does do, is there an advantage to that?
You want to take that, Lauren?
An advantage in what way? Is there an advantage to just throwing him right into the fire?
Yeah, I just usually they when they do a call up, the guy will get called up and he may sit around for a couple of days just to get the feel of the clubhouse, get the feel of the dugout, get the feel of the major league field, that kind of thing. There's not too many that are thrown right into the fire, and then on top of it, you're asking them to back cleanup. Um, no pressure. So
No, no, I don't think there's an advantage to it, or he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that wants to sit around. He seems to be one of those players that's made every opportunity that's been thrown his way. So I think this is just another one of those sort of situations. I think if they would have brought him up and let him sit on the bench, that wouldn't have been a good look, nor would it have been very helpful. So of all guys, I think for them to throw right into the fire, I think he's the perfect one. And I
right,
also can't help but think that the Phillies have probably been talking to him and letting him know that this was probably going to be the next move. My guess is that today didn't catch him off guard. So many people were calling for this move that the Phillies sort of, there's no way they didn't see it either. If every fan saw it, if everybody was hoping for this, I have a feeling that after Bryce went down, that was probably the first phone call they made. And I'm guessing he's had a few days to prepare for this moment.
right. Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. He's being brought up basically, for the left-handed bat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just they need it now.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. So, um,
But if he doesn't perform well, if he struggles up here in the majors, they will hang him in center field, no doubt. The Philly fans will crucify him if he doesn't perform the way he's supposed to.
well, I mean that's part of my next this whole Phillies conversation with all these center fielders that they've brought up that have been absolute failures. Um, I mean, we go out and we pick up another center fielder who's a defensive type guy, from the Cleveland organization. John, I don't know a whole lot about him, but I think he was batting around the Mendoza line.
Yep. 202 with like 3 or 4 home runs. Like you said, defensive guy. They haven't even made the move yet to put him on the roster.
Right,
Yet. So
right.
that kind of tells you a little bit of something as well. So yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, I don't. They're giving Moniak a little bit of a shot here tonight because unless there's something wrong with Odubel, I would have thought today would have been the Odubel spot with the right-handed pitcher on the mound there, and Moniak struggling a little bit, but I'm glad to see that they are at least giving him the shot because he struggled, the night before, and they usually pull him out afterwards, and
Yeah, he's been struggling. He's been,
oh yeah,
just can't catch up to anything.
no,
But that's been all of those guys out there in center field.
mm-hmm.
They all have the same thing in common. They make the outs so easy at the bottom of that lineup that you just wonder.
Yeah,
I mean, it's unfortunate, because like Derek Hall, we were rooting for Moniak as well, young kid.
right, Oh yeah.
We watched him grow over the past, what, 5, 6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
We watched him grow up, and you're rooting for a guy like that, right? You want,
Oh,
you want the kids to develop and become, a big part of the organization, and they're they're kind of playing back and forth with him, only because he's just not performing. He's able to catch the ball, but he can't hit the ball.
yes. No, exactly. And that's the problem. He hasn't gotten that 2 week stretch where he's playing all the time to really know if he's good or not, because he has a bad game and then they put him on the bench. Because the lefty comes up and then he sits down and yeah, Moniak's not, or Vireland's not a bad option there, Nick. But I mean, he's also another guy that you can't play every day. Um, you got to pick and choose your spots with Vireland as well. I think he's going to get a little bit more shot now with right-handed pitching, but yeah, it's tough. You got to find out what you got with your young guys, because we need them to perform. I mean, Moniak's.
Well, I think this is his second real shot since he came back from the injury.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, has he really had a real shot though? Because he plays one game and he sits, and he hasn't played like I said, even a week. He hasn't played a week yet. To back-to-back games where he has some good games and some struggle, bad games as well. But
well, based on Philly standards, they've given him a shot.
well, yeah, no, it's true.
They're so desperate, for a center fielder. And we talked about it earlier today about the trade deadline coming up the end of July, and there's going to be a lot of names thrown out there. With the situation being what it is, the Mets lost again today. By the way, that's
right.
Three in a row that the Mets lost, and
four with the Astros.
Is that 4 now?
Yeah, it was 4. They got swept in the 4-game series with the Astros.
It's even better yet.
Yep.
But I mean, Atlanta's sitting pretty right now because they're taking advantage of that being where they're at, and four in a row. I mean, they're on. We knew they couldn't keep up that hot streak.
No.
Plus they went through a few injuries as well. But do you see the Phillies possibly being a trade partner come deadline time? Do you think that's a possibility?
I'm sure they're going to. Dombrowski is going to try to make some moves. It's just a matter of what pieces do we have to give up? That's the problem. Nick's asking if Derek Hall is hot. Do we trade Rhys Hoskins? I don't know that you can do that. I mean, just because we've seen how you and I are right there, one of his biggest fans for Derek Hall, and so I don't want to say anything negative and hope anything goes, but you never know. Just because he has a good 2-week stretch doesn't mean that he's the next Mike Schmidt coming up. We've seen that with Bohm and other guys. Have good moments and then struggle a little bit. I don't think you can take a chance with that.
With the DH being in play now, I mean, and you need a DH. I mean, this is the perfect spot. It's the perfect timing. Everything's perfect about this. I'm basically looking at, 3 areas. You may need another starter. You can always use a bullpen piece. And to be quite honest with you, until we can get a center fielder, that can go out there every day and, to be quite honest with you, bat leadoff, a Brian Reynolds type player that maybe the Pirates are willing to, relieve some salary and trade him for a couple of possibilities. I mean, is that somebody that?
Well, he'd definitely be a guy interested in. I think he has a year or two on their control as well. Before he hits free agency. So yeah, I would like to see that. I'm sure Anthony may not like to see that. But like we were saying, it's just a matter of who are we going to be able to give up for him, uh,
Right.
and you know, I'm sure the Pirates will take deeper lower level minor leaguers just for control for their rebuild, but um, I don't know that.
Well, they don't seem to hang on to anybody. You
Right.
know what I mean? They
Oh
don't.
yeah.
They don't. I mean, they get to a point, and they can get two or three pieces, and they continue to do that. And I'm just looking at that. He had an interesting day today. I think Vegas is telling me he hit 3 home runs. I thought I saw that when I was scrolling through earlier. Um, he'd be a nice little fit in center field and would take care of a few years of, control and
Mm-hmm.
a good leadoff guy. And I don't know. I mean, you got a lot of holes right now.
You do know these balls are bugs, so hopefully that gets to Dombrowski again.
Well, again, with the walls being bugged and a lot of this makes its way, outside. Yeah, I would give up Painter, Vegas. I would. I talked to John about this, and because Painter's probably 2-3 years away. You want to win now, this year, next year, the year eight. You want to win now. Is he going to be a product of that winning team? And
Right.
at 19 years old, I don't think so. Um, so
Yeah, and like we said, prospects are prospects. We kept saying the same thing about Sixto Sanchez back in the day. He was untouchable in this situation. We talked about, Bryson Stott being an untouchable guy, Alec Bohm being an untouchable guy, and now we're sitting back here, 2-3 years later, and like maybe we should have traded him, maybe not. So um, yeah, it's prospects are prospects. Give me proven talent, and we'll go from there. And if you're good enough as an organization to build a farm system, hopefully Dombrowski is able to do that now. You can replace those guys,
yeah.
and be able to go from there. So,
Well, before the night gets away from us, and Brian Brown brought it up, and I know I did reference it this morning with the Philly sports team. So who's the closest team to winning a championship right now in Philadelphia? I'm
you want this
curious.
one first, Lauren?
I'm going to go with the Sixers. I think the Sixers have the best shot of giving it to us. They want it the most. I think that's what it really honestly boils down to, is they play like they want it the most out of any of them.
All right. Carl and we talked about this, so I know he doesn't like to listen there agreeing with me, so I have to change my answer. So I'm going to go with obviously the Philadelphia Stars, since they could do that on Sunday. That's how fast they can do it. They're right there. The only team to be in the championship game of their league's existence every year. So I'm going to go with the Stars.
John, one of the criterias for the championship was having a parade down Broad Street.
But they may have a parade, right?
May.
Yeah, why not?
They didn't play any of the games in Philadelphia.
No, but it's the Philadelphia Stars, so they're saving it for the championship, for the parade. They'll bring it down.
Ever since you and Lauren signed this peace agreement, you're a changed fella.
I signed no agreement.
Well, it sure sounds like there was a handshake or a peace deal or whatever. John, I like your enthusiasm with the Stars, but I'll be honest with you, I don't think I can name two players.
I couldn't name one, so
Yeah, the one guy had a nice punt return for a game-winning punt return for 83 yards. So that won the game against the Generals to get them into the championship.
wow, are you that needing of football?
No. I honestly haven't watched the game because I keep forgetting when they're on.
Okay.
But I am I used to be a Stars fan. When my grandfather took us to the playoff games when they were here in Philadelphia and stuff. So my cousin and I we enjoyed watching the Stars when they were here because they were winners. at that time. And we were in the middle of the 85, 86 years where it was lean years back then, coming off the Sixers, championship. So,
We at least knew some of those players.
right. Oh yeah, they were, you know, Facino was there with Penn State guy and Kelvin Bryant. There was
John Bunting
yeah,
spoke highly of those past teams,
right.
and he talked a little bit about it because I guess some of the coaches, are still heavily involved and whatnot. But
Yeah.
my choice for closest is the Eagles because I think all that's been invested this year.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked a little bit earlier about buying pieces that you need to
Right.
finish certain things. And I think Howie has had an incredible offseason,
Mm-hmm.
both with the draft and signing free agents. I think they're the closest right now. I may not have said that a couple of months ago because I really was rooting for the Sixers hard. Um, and no pun intended, but I thought James Harden was going to be that piece to take us
Mm-hmm.
to the championship. Um, I don't know that they would have beat the Warriors, but I would have liked to have seen a 7-game series versus the Warriors. But again, you're talking injuries. The big man, had facial, bone fractures.
Mm-hmm.
His thumb was busted as well. You had a lot going on there. But I like the Eagles' chances. I like what they've done. They've added some really, really good pieces.
Oh yeah.
I want to see all the Philly teams do well. I want to flip that switch. I
Mm-hmm.
want to get them. I want to get them all going.
Bring it back to 1980 again, right?
Right? Exactly. That's exactly right. When you had big name players.
Mm-hmm.
You had leadership. You had great ownership, and they were willing to go the extra mile to do whatever it took to win. You know,
Jack, he's too soft, hard, Embiid. You don't need a face to play basketball.
uh, I mean, we haven't even touched base on the Flyers. Things are, life is so bad, and on that side of Broad Street right now. Um, but no, I mean, it's difficult because you really, these teams are spending. Look at all this money that's being spent, right?
Oh yeah,
What the Phillies just spent, what the
probably $1 billion
Sixers,
a year.
what the Sixers are spending.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles payroll. The Flyers payroll. I mean, just look at all this money, and where are we?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you would think one of them would be a, a lock, for to win a championship.
Right. Oh yeah, no, they're spending the money. That's for sure. And like we said it, we talked about it earlier today. I think the Eagles, probably are the, most legit team to win the World Series or Super Bowl. But it all comes down to quarterback play. And then
But
that's
also, where does that come from? So a lot of the guys coming to the Eagles this year are new. They've
mm-hmm.
never played before.
Right.
And we're seeing that happen right now with the Phillies, and they can't really seem to get it going. So why do we think it's going to be different with the Eagles? Why are we so gung-ho with them, not having seen them play together at all, putting all of our eggs in that basket?
Well, that's always true. I mean, I think Philadelphia, the Eagles take over the city a lot more, a little bit. So that
right. No, I guess I mean as fans. So
oh, yeah.
One of the things that, as I sort of like sit back and listen and I watch all the comments and stuff, is we're a little hypocritical. We allow certain things for some teams, but not for others. So with the Eagles, we're all in because they've got all these really good guys that we expect to be good. But the same thing happened with the Phillies, and that hasn't panned out quite so well for us.
Right at the moment.
We think it's going to be different with the Eagles, so we're all in there. And then with the Phillies, we don't even really give guys time to sort of get their feet under them. And it's a very long season.
Right.
So just because Mickey Moniak and Bryson Stott aren't playing as well as we'd like them to play right now, flip of a switch and they could get hot again. I mean, they call them slumps for a reason.
Right.
And it's just, I guess for me, I don't quite understand that. I guess what I should do is maybe visit another city that doesn't win as often as they'd like either and see if the fans are just so desperate for something. For me, it's fascinating. It's fascinating to see how people say, oh, it's so tough to be a Philly fan. It's so tough to be a Philly fan. At least we make it interesting.
Right.
You can't fault them for that. I mean, I've watched Anthony be a Pirates fan for 6 years now, and they don't do anything. They don't do anything to make it fun to be a Pirates fan. At least our Philadelphia teams attempt something. At least the Phillies attempt something. The Eagles, the Sixers, the Flyers are trying it. At least they give us something to be hopeful for, something to hang our hats on. And
no, you're right.
If you actually look at the numbers and you Google cities that have last won a championship, Philadelphia is not even in the top 10. So we're over here complaining about how desperate we are for a parade down Broad Street. It's not easy to do. This isn't, if it was easy to do, none of us would be here right now because we'd be off playing some sport somewhere.
True.
It's just, so for me to say, okay, it's the Eagles because they're stacked and it's going to be great. Well, so were the Phillies 3 months ago before all this started. And now everybody's ready to just, well, it's Eagles season.
Well, that's part of your thing. Because if you asked this question 3 months ago, we'd be saying the Phillies. And then now we saw what happened. So,
but why? What is it about the Eagles? Because also the same people that are so excited for the Eagles season hated Jalen Hurts and hated Nick Sirianni. But now all of a sudden we've got all the faith in the world in the two of them.
Oh, no.
And all these new players.
Well, no, that's the thing. That's what I said. It's all going to come down to Jalen Hurts, whether or not he can take that next step. But how he went out and built the team around him, got all the other pieces that were missing. Now, like you said, you still got to play the games and you still got to win. It's. I think too, maybe because it's a shorter season, people may look at it a little bit easier because, like you said, baseball, people have to look at it more in like 10-game stretches, like I keep saying, because
right,
because that 10-game stretch is one game of football. So
yeah, baseball is a long game.
Right.
It's in the dead heat of summer.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy by any stretch of the imagination, and that's why 0.7% of guys who play baseball actually make it to the major leagues.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And it's hard. And I can't help but think, don't you think they want to win?
Oh, of course.
Don't you think they want to go out there every day and win? Don't you think they want to go down Broad Street too? They're not just sitting around waiting, hoping for their teammate to, pick up the slack or something like that. But they want to win too. It's just, I don't think they're doing it out of spite.
Yeah, I mean, as a fan right at the moment, we see the Phillies have a few more holes right at the moment. The Eagles, whether or not it's good or not, they seem to have filled most of the holes. It's just a matter of now if Jalen Hurts can take that next step to, like you said, make the rest of the team play better. Because if he doesn't take that next step, you added all those players and they may not be able to succeed because he can't get on the ball or whatever. So, and like we've seen too, you got to be able to play together. You might, just because you have talent on the field, they may not be able to play together and play as a team. So that makes it a little bit more difficult as well. And in the Sixers situation, I mean, they're close, as well. But are they going to be able to get those extra pieces that they need? That's the problem. Hopefully, with Harden, opting out, that's going to help. To be able to get a PJ Tucker in place hopefully with that extra $11 million that the cap's raised up, that they can get somebody else as well to be able to fill in those extra holes. Today they're probably short, I think, but they still have moves that they're going to make. That in a week or two, next time we're back on, on here, they will be like, oh wait,
Yeah.
because they can't do it.
And you just never know when a team's going to get hot,
Right.
or we talk about injuries all the time, and short of every guy going down with an injury, like I said about the Sixers a while ago, you just have to assume Joel Embiid's going to get hurt, and you have to figure out what is your answer for when that happens, not if it happens.
Yeah.
And that's got to be the case with every team. They have to be able to have guys that they can call upon to step in when a big player gets hurt. So that might be the only thing that concerns me a little bit for Derek tonight, is that he's sort of filling in for Harper, and what does that look like? What does that pressure sort of look like for him?
Yeah.
But these teams with injuries and the injury prone and the injury bug, there's got to be a better way to figure out what happens when it happens, not if it happens.
No, true. No, that's true. And yeah, I mean, just look at it 2 years ago when we had the Sixers were right there. Golden State. All the guys got hurt on Golden State, and that was the year if they could have made it to the finals. That things would have aligned in our favor with injury bugs. But then we all know what happened there with Ben Simmons. But it's just there's always, like you said, it's not easy to win a championship, but just being, I would be okay with just knowing that you have the opportunity, a legitimate opportunity to win a championship.
Right. And that's my biggest thing is it's not that tough to be a Philly sports fan.
No.
It's really not. There are way worse cities. There are way worse teams that are just stringing their fans along, hoping that you don't notice, but you still come out to the games, that don't even make it interesting for you. That is the complete opposite of Philadelphia sports. It is interesting whether it's one team or all four teams at once.
They could be 0-13, and it's going to be interesting no matter what. With the Eagles
and then just like that, flip of the switch, and all of a sudden, somebody somewhere gets hot.
Right.
So I don't find it that difficult to be a fan.
No.
And I think just patience and just root your team on and look at the positives and the good. One of the very first questions on the board tonight was, what's wrong with Castellanos?
All right.
I think we're prone to just immediately point out the negatives.
Yeah.
Instead of what is working.
Right.
Or, Zach Wheeler's having a great season. Aaron Nola's having a great season. It's so easy to gravitate towards what's wrong.
Right.
Than what's actually working right.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true. It's like you said, negativity sells. It's an easier thing to go that way. And when people are doing well, it's like, oh, that's expected, type of thing. And when they aren't going bad, then it's but.
And then Nick brings up another point about the salary, which that I get that they're being paid a lot of money, but is that their fault?
No. And
Jack mentioned it earlier about, money ruins sports. And there's a little bit of truth to that because, you're like, well, this guy's being paid $20 million, so he should come out every single night swinging for the fences.
Right.
And that's not wrong, so to speak, but you can't be on every single day. I go and do my job as best I can every single day, but there's definitely days I leave there and they did not get their money's worth out of me.
Not many.
They're human at the end of the day, and yeah, I get that they have a partial season. You know what I mean? Like they don't work the full year, so to speak. But I wonder how much the salary really factors into it.
Yeah, I think that factors in too much with fans because the sports. I don't even like look at what they're making because it's all crazy. If the owners didn't have it, they're not going to be paying them. Uh, yes, and it ends up hurting us, I guess, ticket prices in the long run there because of what you're paying for them. But um, it's what it is, and you just got to go with it. And
Right.
um, if you didn't pay Nick Castellanos the $20 million, somebody else was going to do it, and then you'd be complaining because you don't have an extra player. Then where would we be? Even though he's struggling right now, that's still a position that he's a threat at times.
Well, let's move back to basketball for a sec before the night totally gets away from us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with things where they are, and uh, money certainly is a big issue there because of a couple of individual players, uh, and they're looking to move a couple of those now high dollar contracts that they realize aren't they didn't work out, right. They didn't, the players didn't own up to those contracts.
Yeah.
um, you hand these guys this kind of money, and I'll throw Tobias Harris' name out there because you paid him $180 million, and you talk about not getting your money's worth. Um, you know, I don't think you'll ever get your money's worth there. So what was the thinking? Um, you were just taking a shot and thought this guy was going to be a max type player.
I think they were kind of stuck there because it was Jimmy Butler, or when Butler left, they were kind of stuck because they had to pay somebody, and they were to be able to use that money. They would have lost them, um, and Brett Brown, squashed the deal that they had with Jimmy Butler, and so then Tobias may not have been here if it wasn't for that, and yeah, I don't know, because otherwise you would have been going with not, you wouldn't have had anything, and because they are over the cap because it was their player, so they were able to keep it,
Right.
and they wouldn't have been able to sign anybody because of the cap.
Well,
So
real quick, Nick Graff asks about the Eagles. Name three. Well, you got Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, and who's the third that I think they've renegotiated those deals three different times.
well, I mean, you name everybody. Lane Johnson, they keep doing.
Lane Johnson, there's three big names right there where they've renegotiated those deals.
Yeah. Maybe
so,
not all bad. Maybe not all bad contracts, but they're big number contracts that are holding up that they have to renegotiate on those guys.
well, they become bad deals because they were willing to release Fletcher Cox, right?
Right. Yeah.
They were ready to release him and eat whatever they had to because it became a bad contract.
Carson Wentz.
Well,
I mean, that was just. I mean, that was one of the ones right there that ended up being a bad contract. If you want to.
well, he just
but
became a bad player overnight.
Well, a bad person, but yeah.
But you get back to the Sixers, and Lauren says they're the closest to winning a championship. Well,
that might be more from my heart versus my mind. So,
and that's okay because we're all fans at the end of the day, right? We all have a favorite team, right? And we want to see our Philly teams do well. But here we are; we don't even know who the starting five are going to be next year, right? They're talking about
technically, yeah.
They're talking about trading Thaddeus.
Matisse
Thibault, rather. They're talking about Harris being traded, and now with Harden opting out, I mean, do they have a handshake agreement that they're going to redo that deal?
Yeah, they do.
Or are they going to, is he going to shop around and pull a LeBron?
No,
I still just want to see one more year with that team. I want to see Doc Rivers. Same five. Don't change anything. I want to see the same team. Give Doc Rivers a full off season with those guys. Harden and Embiid can gel better together.
Well, you got to get some better bench pieces because you need some strength off the bench.
Yep. I would agree with that. But yeah, I wouldn't change too much, but I don't know that that's going to happen.
Well, I mean,
Right.
they already added to what, like you said, Lauren. If you keep what you had last year, you kept you add in Melton that they just picked up, and then PJ Tucker. So those are two more players for the bench. And then
Where does Tucker fill the void of Danny Green slash what?
well, he'll be the 3 or 4 spot. So he'll be starting.
But you're bringing him in for his toughness to use up fouls and do what? Beat
Well,
up on guys because he's not a. Is he a 3-point threat
yeah, he'll sit out there in the corner and shoot threes.
as well as Danny Green?
I don't know his average, but I mean, at least he did. Let's put it this way: at least he did the series against the Sixers.
Well, he everybody seems to kill the Sixers at some
Yeah.
point, right?
Oh yeah, but plus he has that attitude, to the team, and the toughness that we complain about with Embiid not being able to go down and get those offensive rebounds because he's out, back on the 3-point line type of thing. He'll be able to get those rebounds for you, which will help, and that toughness to get a second and third chances where we need it.
I just Embiid's getting older. I don't know what year this is, but Jack says trust the process part 2. So you just at some point you gotta take a serious run at the championship and get past the second round.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and I think they're trying to do that, and that was the whole thing, like you said, with the handshake deal with Harden, coming back, because that opens up some money, which will be huge. They can't really announce any signings until I think it's early July. I think it is that they were saying.
Yeah, but everything kind of like
it leaks out like the
the clock. The clock starts ticking tomorrow night. I believe it's
right.
6:00.
Yeah, things will leak out, but nothing can officially be named until like July. But
right.
So they have a little bit of time, before we actually get everything official. But I think they're going to make some moves. Just a matter of if they can free up enough money.
Well, we can talk Flyers a little bit if you're talking bad contracts, because they got a few. They got a few too many bad contracts. Yeah. You didn't really know how bad they were until you start looking around the league and seeing how fast the game has gotten and how slow your team got. So,
they can't compete against any of those teams in the Stanley Cup Finals, speed-wise.
No, just an incredible
that was a ball game.
Yeah, incredible Stanley Cup. I don't know if anybody was watching, but kudos to the Avalanche for winning Lord Stanley. That was pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty impressive. But yeah, the Flyers got a lot of work to do. They're probably the team that's got the most work to do. They're probably the farthest from winning a championship. I don't know. Jack, we can talk about the Hall of Fame a little bit, because we certainly know that a certain somebody's name wasn't even mentioned. And like you said, three of the 6 we never even heard of. Hockey's definitely a different sport. It's a different breed. But back to the Phillies, for another minute or two. So with Harper having his surgery today, they're talking 2 months out. What type of ball do you need to play? You need to basically just hold your own at 500 and hope that nobody goes crazy.
I don't think that's going to do it. We just had our best month of June, and we lost 4 games to the Braves. We picked up 3.5 on the Mets, but we lost 4 games to the Braves in the standings for second.
Well,
and third.
You've got that extra playoff, spot. So
we're still 3 games out of that though, right at the moment. Right. the Cardinals have that last spot, which we're going to be playing them 7 times in the next 2 weeks here. So that's going to be huge, hopefully, to get them. And unfortunately, it's a bad timing because Harper's not there in the lineup for us.
Right.
To be able to manage those games against them. So hopefully we can, stay healthy there. Yeah, it's going to be a tough, like I said, I mean, it's, but once if the guys start hitting like we know they could, we saw what they can do. The pitching kind of becomes invisible a little bit. Some of the issues that we do have in the bullpen or wherever when you're starting to score 8-9 runs a game,
right?
It's a little easier to cover that up. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, they just got to keep pace. I mean, it's tough. I mean, look at the Braves. What are the Braves? They were 17 or 19-4 or whatever it was in the month so far, and
right.
So I mean, you just got to catch. I mean, fortunately, the Mets were running. They're struggling a little bit that we were able to keep close there, but I mean, just imagine if we stayed 500, like you were just saying, in the month of June, we'd be 12 games out right now.
Well, I'm talking basically moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
To see where this team can go, with no Harper in the lineup.
Right. I mean, that's gonna be hard. That's gonna be huge. Losing Eflin's gonna be huge too. Having a spot in the bullpen or in the rotation missing.
Right.
Because Suarez has been up and down a little bit, so we were already worrying about that spot to begin with, and then now Eflin goes down. Fortunately, we've been able to Gibson's been shaky a little bit. So it's fortunate that Nola and Wheeler have been as strong as they have been.
Right.
Because if not, we could be in a lot worse shape.
Yeah, real quick. The show's been on the road for like the last 3 weeks, I believe.
Yep.
We were out in Reading with Kevin Nash for wrestling night. That was pretty cool. Nice crowd, and we had a lot of fun out there. I know Lauren did a couple of live spots from out there. Then the following week, we were up at our Philly spot at Dagwoods for our 200th show with Hall of Famer Mark Howe.
Yep.
Very cool show there. The room was packed. The place was really excited to talk hockey with Mark Howe. And then last week we kind of tested the waters, and we brought in we had 2 guests, up at the head table with us for hockey night with the Watson brothers, and that was a lot of fun. That really was a lot of fun. We had our normal Q&A. We had trivia as we normally do, and then our good friend Bill Mattis, pulled one out of his hat where we had a back and forth with the brothers, and Lauren handled that really well. We had everybody in stitches with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren, you want to touch base on that a little bit?
Well, I think we should develop it into something like the Mattis Minute or something. So where there's questions for every guest, whether there's 2 or just 1 as there normally is. And it's just sort of rapid fire questions, because honestly, the questions that were asked is what sort of brought the best stories. So one of the questions was, between Jim and Joe, who was the best with the ladies? Well, nobody would have ever asked that question just outright.
Right.
But it was on the sheet, and we come to find out that Jimmy Watson was the only single guy on the Stanley Cup team. So by default, all the guys said that he got the most ladies because he was the only single one. And it's just a funny story that now you sort of know this little bit of backstory that otherwise would have never happened. So
right.
I like that.
Yeah.
So it's the Mattis Minute, huh?
I think that's what we should go with. And even though it'll definitely be longer than a minute, because the guest will sort of build on and have a story for the questions or the answers, hopefully. But yeah, I think we go with the Mattis Minute for all our live shows.
All right. Let's write it down.
Yeah.
There you go, folks. Jim Wright's asking our next time up in Reading, um, August 25th,
Six
26th.
26th.
Yep,
26th.
Friday
it's
night.
a Friday night. August 26th will be the next Carl's Cards sponsored game. But if anyone's ever looking for tickets or wants to come out to a different game, I think I might be able to hook you up with that.
We got tickets,
Mm-hmm.
and we got a guy.
Yep.
We got a guy who knows the ticket guy.
Yep.
So we're definitely the R Phil's hookup, and I'm sporting my number 13 Derek Hall game used jersey tonight in his honor. So pretty excited about that. We've had a great month, both at the store, this fan's view, the family personally. We just had a phenomenal June. I'm really sad to see June go. It's been such a great month. It really has, from start to finish. We had so much fun. Although, I mean, July's looking good. August is looking really good. We got a lot going on.
Don't forget your anniversary too.
My anniversary too.
Lauren threw a great party for you.
Well,
for
that
Saturday
was,
night.
yeah, I had that, John. Thanks for reminding me. But
You knew you weren't going to talk about yourself about it, so that's what we had to get in there.
it was a phenomenal Saturday night. We were heading out to dinner to one of our favorite Italian spots, Pescatori's Italian restaurant out here in Glen Mills, and lo and behold, our fabulous daughter and her husband Anthony threw us a surprise 40th anniversary. The room was filled. I don't know, Lauren, 50, 60 people.
Yep. About 50.
Yeah, it was awesome. A lot of great friends that we've hung out over the years. Wherever we met them along the way, through the store, Clearwater, Florida, wherever. Just a lot of great people. And they came and hung out with us on a Saturday night. It was fantastic. It really was. I was even surprised. So it was a good one. But we got so we're home for what, the next 2 weeks?
Just
Just the
tonight and next Wednesday.
Yeah, so we're home. We're home, and then we go back on the road for July 13th with Blair Thomas. Blair Thomas will be at Dagwoods. He'll be our guest, so we'll be talking some Penn State football, some NFL football. He is now a coach with the Upper Marion football program. So we'll be talking a lot of football with Blair, and then the following week we're back at Hanrahan's with Chris Wheeler. That should be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Talking Phillies with wheels. So we're looking forward to that. Like I said, June's been an outstanding month. It really has. It's been a great month. We had a lot of cool stuff going on just all around. Sorry to see June go, but I think July and August might be just as good. So we're looking for a really good summer. Guys?
I think there's a birthday party celebration going on later on in July as well.
I'm not counting birthdays anymore. So if it's mine you're talking about, I'm throwing the number in reverse.
It's okay. It could be 55 or whatever plus 11, whatever you want to call it, or whatever number, however you want to say. You want to say 21 plus 46 or whatever you want to do. You do it.
Bill Berge wore number 66. I'm good with it.
There you go.
Who wore it best?
Exactly.
You remember those days? Oh, I just had a little PTSD pop up on that one. Oh my God, those polls.
Making the polls.
Well, it's funny because I had to listen to the Phillies on the radio on the way home last night. And, they're on WIP 94.1. So it was still on the radio this morning. And they're doing a top 20 countdown
Yeah.
of their guys, very similar to what we did with Who Wore It Best.
Yeah, they're stealing our idea.
Well, it's okay.
We
It's
just show them
okay.
how to do it.
I mean, somebody's got to show them, right?
Exactly. You know.
So, um, yeah, we're rolling into July 4th weekend. I know we got a big. Speaking of parties, we got a big party Saturday night, Saturday afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
down at the Phillies game. Our good friends Emily and Henry are getting married in August, and they're having a celebration. Is that what we're calling it? What are we calling that?
It's called the last swing before the ring.
There you go. The last swing before the ring.
Yep. So they're doing a joint bachelorette party on Saturday. So we're doing a tailgate and then we're going to the game. So it's going to be lots of fun.
Well, hey, I'll open it up to everybody. We'll be in Lot K. There'll be plenty to eat and drink. So come join the party.
Yeah.
So we'll be down on the corner right opposite third base gate of the Citizens Bank. So come on out, hang out with us. It's July 4th weekend, and I just want to make sure everybody stays safe and put your furry friends away so they don't
Yes.
get aggravated from all these fireworks. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a tough time for them. I know I had one of my dogs absolutely hated fireworks. So I used to take them for a ride just to kill a couple hours.
Mm.
But you guys got any plans, or we're in good shape for tonight?
Oh yeah, we're good. Yeah, congratulations again to Derek Hall for his call up. He saved it perfect timing because he's due up right next. So
Yep.
Once the show's over, we'll be able to sit there and watch him with his major league debut at bat, and then I'll be heading to the game and seeing him afterwards. So
There you go. Good
you know,
stuff, Johnny. Good
Yep.
stuff.
so yeah,
Lauren, thank you. You got anything happening this week? Nothing planned with the Humane this weekend?
No, we've got a couple of table setups at the Fightins this weekend, but so Friday and Sunday. I'm sorry, just Friday, not Sunday. But yeah, Friday night we'll be there doing a table setup.
Excellent. All right, everybody, have a safe weekend, and we'll catch you. We'll catch you this time next Wednesday.
sounds great.
Be safe.
Thank you.